Well, A1 is in the books and we move on to St. Louis. My name is Donnie. This is Roto X Fantasy, and today I'm going to bring you 5 stats you need to know before you lock in your picks for St. Louis this weekend in Pulp MX Fantasy at pulpmxfantasy.com. And let's get right to the list. Number 1 is going to be Alex Martin. Alex Martin had a really rough A1. He had to get off in the third lap, had trouble getting that RM Army Suzuki started, but if you take a look at the graphic next to me, starting with lap 4, Alex posted some of the best lap times. He had a few lap times in the top 5, and all of these lap times were while he was cutting through traffic. He made 11 passes in 14 laps and was still having his lap times consistently in the top 5, even dealing with traffic. Last year, Alex had 8 top 10s out of his 9 rounds. He had 3 top 5s, and his average finish, not counting showdowns, was 7th at a -1 handicap. There's really no reason Alex doesn't log a top 10 here. He had a whole shot in his heat race. Look to see him out front, maybe running even top 5 this weekend. Second on the list is going to be Zak Osborne. Zak has a 0 handicap, but he finished 2019 with 8 straight top 10s, 3 top 5s, including almost winning before he fell over and eventually finishing second to Cooper Webb. Remember that he was ill for A1 last weekend, so hopefully Zacho is feeling better. I would check those qualifying times. If his qualifying is outside of the top 10, I would err a little to the side of caution there, but otherwise, Osborne is a lock for me in the 450 class. Both Martin and Osborne, this is probably the only week of the season you're going to have them and not as all-stars, so make sure to capitalize on those points while you can. Another rider I'm really high on for St. Louis is Luke Klout. Luke made his Supercross debut in the States last weekend at A1, but he actually battled Brayton to the final race in the Australian Supercross series. Very, very accomplished rider over there, and I expect to see big things from him. He was 7th place going into the first bull turn before unfortunately having a fall over. Remember that he's on the Penrite Honda team with Mitchell Oldenburg, and Penrite Honda team is a major player overseas. That is a factory level team, so he is going to be on very good equipment. No worries in that regard. I think Luke Klout is going to be a great pick, especially he was a great pick last week at 2. He's an even better pick this week at 4. Quick note before we finish off this list, make sure to check the rider roster and qualifying times before race time. 9% of players picked Jeremy Martin last week, a guy that wasn't even lining up. His bikes weren't even there. It wasn't out in front of the truck. There was no reason to be picking Jeremy Martin, and 1 out of 10 people made that mistake. God, Martin Castillo is going to be the next rider I want to talk about today. Martin had the worst luck possible. He got taken out twice. Once in the heat race, once in the LCQ. He just ran into riders having their own problem. He ran into the back of Oldenburg in the heat, and then Aaron Tonti had to get off in the whoop section and actually karate kicked into Castillo. He was slow to get up on the second one, but per his social media, looks fine. He's ready to go in St. Louis. Don't forget that Castillo was 12th in points last season. He made 8 mains. The only 2 mains he missed were the showdown rounds. So essentially he made every single West exclusive round. And he finished 6th in San Diego. He averaged 12th place at a 7. I'm on board with Castillo all day. The only all-star that I want to talk about here is Jason Anderson. The last 4 times he raced St. Louis on the 450, he's finished 3rd, 4th, and 2nd in 2018, his championship season. I will note that Eli Tomac has actually won his last 2 races here, but Anderson qualified top 5 at A1, and he had a 9th place start. He actually passed Tomac and Roxon on his way to that 5th place finish last weekend. So my money would be on Anderson, especially with a slightly higher handicap. He actually has 4. I think there's really no better value than Anderson at a 4 for your All-Star in St. Louis. So make sure to plan that accordingly. Finally, for the 6th tip, I just want to note that the Dortmund Supercross in Germany this weekend is going on, and a lot of the top small team / privateer guys are actually going to be missing. Tyler Bowers and Kyle Chisholm both made the main at A1. They will not be here this weekend, in addition to Jerry Robin and Justin Starling from that FXR Chaparral team by Michael Lindsay. Chris Blows will be here, however, just his teammates are missing. Ryan Brees also will be riding over there. In case you haven't seen, Adam Enticknap had a little bit of a get off in a practice crash this week, so he will be missing at St. Louis, but he looks to be lining up for a 2, so it shouldn't be too big of an injury, but just something to keep in mind. As far as the first to the finish line goes this week, I would say keep an eye on the fact that the finish line is actually pretty early in the lap. It's about a third of the way through the first lap. So at A1, they got almost an entire lap out of the way before that FFL. But in St. Louis, it's going to be about a 20-second shootout to the finish line. So those guys like Vince Freeze or Alex Martin might be a little bit more playable here for the first lap leader, or for the first to the finish line. So take a look at those guys. As always, Cooper Webb, Justin Cooper, Forkner are a safer pick here if you're going for more of an all-star to take that FFL. You do not have to pick both of the first to the finish line. You can pick one or the other, so don't feel like you need to be going in all the time. So as of Thursday morning, if I'm locking in my team for the weekend right now, I have Austin Forkner as my all-star, Alex Martin, Luke Klout, and Martin Castillo on my 250 squad. For 450s, I'm taking Jason Anderson as an all-star with Zacho, Chris Blos, and Kyle Cunningham. I think Cunningham makes it in easily if we're taking Bowers and Chisholm out of the mains, especially with Brees, Enticknap, Jerry Robin, and Justin Starling being in Germany as well. First lap leader, I don't have a lot of faith. I'm probably going to skip it this week. And one quick note before we sign off, I just wanted to shout out to Enamel. Enamel actually had the best score in our Roto X Fantasy League on pulpmxfantasy.com. He had 262 points. Special note, I will actually be at the St. Louis race this weekend. So if you're going to be at St. Louis, make sure to comment. Let me know where you'll be sitting. We are going to be front row, I believe, in section 130 on one of the ends. We will also be at the Pulp live podcast taping on Friday night. If anybody would also be there, let me know. Also, let me know what points you got, what your name is. We have almost 20 people in the league now, so if you already joined or if you're planning on joining the Pulp League, drop your name in the comments below. Let me know how you did, who you picked, and if any of these picks helped you, or any of the A1 picks helped you, rather. And we will see you next week. I am planning on doing a follow-up show, but since I'm going to be out of town in St. Louis, we're from Central Ohio, so it's a bit of a drive. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to squeeze in a post show next week, but that is the goal, to do post shows every week. And that's it for the video today. May the Chizes chiz and your Jerry's not always Jerry this weekend. Have fun watching the races. Don't take it too seriously, and good luck out there. Take care, guys.